Okay, so here it is. I know I haven't posted any trial updates in a few days, and I'm sorry about that. Just kind of got really busy with everything going on. So here we are. I'm going to catch anybody up who needs to be caught up. I have everything. So I'm going to update on date number 8, um, which was 6/2/2011. On day 8, the state calls Jeff Hopkins. He says he met Casey in middle school. He said he did work at Universal from about 2001 to 2002 time frame. Did not introduce a Zenaida to Casey. Saw Casey in July of 2008 at the Ale House. Never met Kaylee, but knew she had a daughter. Defense cross, and they asked him, "Are you Jeffrey Michael Hopkins?" He said, or basically asked if his middle name was Michael. He said no. State redirect. Does not even. They asked if he even knew Zenaida Gonzalez. He said no. Then they state called Leonard Torlola. He is assistant manager of loss prevention at Universal Studios. Used a database to try to find out if Casey worked at Universal and the other names she had given police. Casey worked there until about April or May of 2006. Jeff Hopkins employed in 2001-2002. Juliette Lewis not employed or never was employed. Zenaida Gonzalez never employed, not employed at this time. She took detective and he took the detective and Casey on the property, allowed them to come in. They went to the building that had nothing to do with events. Casey put her hands in the back pocket and said she did not work there. In a conference room, he sat, when they went into this little room he let them sit into so they could sit down and talk to Casey. He said he went to a break room. They were in there about 30 or 45 minutes. The defense cross-examined him. Basically Jose Baez is like, well, wasn't this a sham just bringing her here? And he said he did not believe bringing Casey to Universal, even if Detective Yuri Malich knew she didn't work there, was a sham. Casey was in the room with 3 detectives. Tom Manley is another, as Jose Baez calls it, imaginary person. And at this point, Casey's just very laid back. Looks like no cares in the world. The state redirect. Casey did not resist going into the room to talk to the detective. He said that as they were leaving, there was discussion about missing children. Casey, talking about missing children and so forth and so on. The state calls Yuri Malich again for the second time. About between 9:30 on 7/16/2008, he went to Universal to try and find out, try to find the cry witnesses, as he called them, to get contact info on them and get info on Zenaida and report about Casey's lost cell phone that she said was taken there. Called Casey's cell phone and put it on speaker, confirm work number and extension and boss's name. No boss there named Tom Manley. Asked Casey if she can come out to Universal. Sergeant Allen and Abby Wells sent them to go get Casey and bring her to Universal. Saw her first at the employee gate. Casey led the way to building. A aerial view was shown of how and where they walked from the gate to the building. Asked if there was a room to talk to Casey. Casey agreed to speak to detectives. Had tape recorder with him and taped conversation in room. Then they decided to play the tape conversation, and I followed it through with the transcript of it. And reading the transcript, I have to say, reading the transcript is nothing like hearing it. Um, you could read a transcript, but it's just not the same. It was, you can kind of imagine in your head how it is being said and how it's not, and it was completely different. It was, you know, it was kind of different and a new experience for me. Being in school to become a paralegal, it was definitely a different experience actually from reading stuff to actually listening, especially the transcript of Casey and the Detectives in that room at Universal to hearing it. Even though I've heard bits and pieces before, this was the first time I've heard it from beginning to end. At this point, while they're listening to it, Casey continues to just have this nasty, mean look on her face, and she just looks like she's got devil horns in her forehead from the look she's giving. Um, he said Casey gave him a zip drive with pictures of Kaylee and phone records from June 2008 and July 2008 from collected items that were Kaylee's from Cindy. Item 1 was 4 toothbrushes. Item 2 was 1 hairbrush. And item 3 was 1 comb. Item 4 was 1 thermometer. Defense cross. Jose Baez decides to, aren't you taught and instructed to look at the juries? His response, I love Jury Malich during his testimony, especially with the defense. He just kept his composure, would not let Jose Baez break him down. He says he was taught to look at the juries when questioned. He does it out of acknowledgement to the jury, since they are the ones who make the decisions. Baez just going back over everything Yuri Malich had said with the state. At that point, Casey was not a suspect. At that time, when he'd even taken her to Universal, she wasn't a suspect. They were still looking for Zenaida Fernandez-Gonzalez. She was not their suspect. Casey denied everything, foul play, and was admitted about there being, or was adamant about there being a Zenaida and a Zanny, or whatever you want to call her. At this point, again, Casey has a relaxed look on her face again. I noticed when the defense asks questions, she doesn't have a mean or nasty look on her face. When Jose Baez is up there, everything's just peachy keen. It's weird. I don't know. And then, she's staring at Baez, too, while he's asking these, questions, and then, occasionally looking over at Yuri Malich. Yuri Malich said he had no idea why he was hearing all the stories that were lies and thought it was odd. He did think it was odd. And he said that Casey walked with a purpose, and Casey led the police. When they went to Universal, she led the way. They went to lunch recess. When they came back, it was still Cross from the defense. He said when he walked out of the room, he did talk to Cindy Anthony on the phone. Any information they were getting was important. Never asked Casey about the pool after Cindy tells him about the ladder on the pool being up in June and the gate open. By that time of Universal interview, they found out that June 9th was not the date Casey saw Kaylee. Found out that she was not a student at Valencia College until further down the road. Hairbrush was tested for DNA of Kaylee. State redirect. Cindy did not give him a specific date about the pool ladder, just sometime in June, early June. So he didn't have a specific date. So how was he even supposed to question Casey about that if she just said early June? Because you figure June 15th to June 16th, in my opinion, is mid-June. Early June could be June 1st, June 2nd, June 3rd. So, I mean, why... I'm glad that the state cleared that up. Casey does not adopt anything else happened except the babysitter took Kaylee. Defense recross, just Same old crap, just different day. Here's where it really got interesting on day 8. They started showing jailhouse videos, and like I said, like most people, I've only seen bits and pieces of it. I've never actually gotten to see the whole thing. And so I decided to do notes with it. The state shows jailhouse video with Lee Anthony on 7/25/2008. Lee told his sisters focus basically in order are first Kaylee, second Casey, third Cindy, fourth George, and last himself. Lee said Lee basically told his sister, Lee don't give a shit about Baez or the police or anybody else. And Casey started smiling and laughing at this point when that came up. Baez became her attorney by word of mouth by other inmates or another inmate. Jose tried to object and have a sidebar, and judge basically told him it's untimely. Lee asking who he can trust. Amy, yes. Jesse, no. Asking Casey who he could trust. Amy, yes. Jesse, no. Cindy, yes. Tony, on the fence, up to Lee. Ryan, yes. Annie, no. Melina, no. Ricardo, I don't know, up to Lee. George, yes. Will, no. Areas and places to look or reach out to people. Casey said familiar places they know. More places than people. And then at this point, she's basically making really ugly, mean faces again. Casey said there is meaning behind her MySpace and Facebook passwords. And then at this point, the jury is out. Jose is asking, because it was the end of the video, Jose Baez asked for a mistrial because of irrelevant and diminishes defense counsel. Mistrial denied. Okay, before I start with the next video, jailhouse video that they showed, I'm going to go ahead and stop this video before it runs out and make part 2 of day 8.